Hello sim racers and welcome. I'm Aristotle from Kuno Simulazioni and this is the brand new playlist After Work Happy Hour. So what I'm going to try and do is doing these 1 hour live streams in the middle of the week, right after work, or at least let's call it right after work. It's going to be short, about an hour and a half, maybe at most, not much more than that. And the idea is that, as you know, in my Discord community server, the guys are doing daily races, easy races, about 30 minutes, 40 minutes races during the week. And on Sunday, they are doing a longer 1 hour race. Now, usually on 1 day of the week, they will do a short race in a track and with cars that they will then reproduce again in the longer race on Sunday. And so today we are this week, by the way, they are doing the GT4. They call it GT4 weeks. So they are doing GT4s at Imola. And on Sunday, they will race again longer GT4s at Imola. And this is something very important that we really like to do, because we believe that it's fun and laugh and everything to, skip and jump between different circuits during the week. But in order to become better drivers, in order to have better performance, to have better races, you also need to practice and train on a given circuit and then do the race, after some days or after a week or whatever. So because of that, they are doing some practice sessions and short races at Imola with the GT4s today, later tonight. So if you want to join, make sure to go to the Discord server, and you can go actually to the race control channel and get all the information. You can see that already here. Let me also show you what is all this about. So as you can see here, they are doing Monday, they did bronze hats. No, this is the old one. So tomorrow today, sorry. Lost the days as usual. So Monday they did bronze hats, Tuesday Laguna Seca, today, and tomorrow they will do Imola. And we will be training Imola today. I want to give you an hour, what we can do in an hour. So not too much time to waste if you don't have time, but what you can do in 1 hour of practice. Set up the car a little bit, make sure that you know the track properly, do a couple of things here and there, and if you don't have time, you can get my setup that I will produce today and the telemetry, study a little bit, and do the race, 30-minute race tomorrow, okay? This race tomorrow is like, practice and training, and then if you want, you can go on Sunday and have a 1 hour race at Imola. So this is the whole idea behind these very short 1 hour live streams, very short for me. All right, so before going in, I wanted to tell you one last thing. As you know, my promise to you is no clickbait titles. I hate them. No special, links and whatever for the YouTube. No non-skippable ads. I will never put non-skippable ads. And if you find any non-skippable ads in my YouTube channel, let me know. I will eliminate it. It's by error, not by choice. But because of all of that, the YouTube algorithm hates me. So if you want to, have my videos and know when I'm streaming, make sure to click the like, subscribe, and hit the bell so that you can you can notified by YouTube. All right, let's go in the server and start having some fun. How are you doing, guys, on the chat? All right, so I'm already in the server. Let me switch the game. And hello, Luco from Argentina. Hey. Hi, Fernando from California. Nice. Okay, so these are the conditions in the server. So 26 degrees, 34 degrees track. So typical, nothing strange this time. So let's just get the aggressive setup, do a couple of laps, fix the pressures if needed, and then start working with the setup and the track. Hamsida, make sure to check the description of the video. You will find the Discord server link. Go in there, have a look on the Discord server. Under the race control channel, you will find all the information. Hey, Peter Griffin, welcome. So, already one guy is inside with the Ginetta. All right, nice little car, front engine, front mid engine. So the engine is at the front, but really behind the front wheels. So very balanced car, very good weight balance. Not bad aerodynamics, but also very light car. Very short car, extremely agile. Yeah, unfortunately you have to, and we will talk about that, the driving is on the right side, so you have to take care of that. And not enough power. Oops, I switched off the ignition, sorry about that, guys. Instead of switching off the pit limiter, I switched off the ignition. So you really need to push this engine to the limit. Because it doesn't have much torque, and it also makes power at the high end of the rev band. So you really have to you really have to get close to the rev limiter to make power and acceleration. Hello, Florian. Welcome. It's silent again. Okay. Now you should hear again. Yeah, it's coming, guys. What a track it is, Imola. Amazing. V10 on the Ginetta when? So one of the things that the characteristics of the Ginetta is that it is skittish. It is very agile, and you can see that sometimes it goes into oversteer, especially under acceleration, in a pretty, it's not harsh way, but it is quite sudden. Now, you see, like that. Now, the good thing is that you don't really have to, raise your foot from the accelerator. You can stomp the accelerator, put your foot down, make some very fast inputs on the steering wheel, and you will manage to maintain control of the car and not lose time. So, for the Ginetta, you have to remember foot on the accelerator, like this, you see, and fast hand movements, and you should be able to control it. Now, right now, we're still, heating up the tires, so it's still less grip, but as we're gonna work with the car, and the tires will get better in pressures, it will be even easier to control. Andy. And obviously with the Ginetta not having enough power and being so fast in the turns, it's all about momentum. So you really need to get off the brakes as soon as possible. Oh. Doriso. You need to get off the brakes as soon as possible, rotate the car and go into the turn and maintain as much speed as you can. Hello, AZT. EZT. You see? Lots of steering input to maintain the direction of the car. So lots of steering input. This is why the Ginetta is also a car that not everybody, everybody loves it, but not everybody wants to use it because to go really fast, you need to work really hard with your hands. And it's difficult. It's really difficult to maintain the concentration, to keep on working with your hands, and to, doing that for a full race when everybody else is just accelerating away from you. You see? See, foot on the accelerator, work with the steering wheel. So we just want to do some initial laps right now, understand where the track is going. See our problems, like here, you see I have to start braking just a little bit earlier. You see here, maybe it's good to hit on the limiter instead of changing gear. So sometimes with the Ginetta, or depending on the car, any car can happen, it's better just to hit the limiter for a 10th of a second instead of switching up a gear and losing time. Hey EZT, thanks for the subscribe. Tom Harley, yeah, that might be a problem. You see, I made the car drift a little bit too much over there, and that makes you lose time. So it's also pretty evident right now that I lack a little bit of traction, so I would like more traction with the car. So this is something that we will try to correct. I need traction, I need a better turn-in under braking, so I could go back with the brake bias and see what I can do with the traction. That's better. Oh, too much. Oof. Ah. Oof. That was too much work. Hello, Sky. Okay, maybe first good lap. Hello Bilbo, all good here. You also have to see what we're doing at the end of the straight, because obviously one of the problems with the Ginetta is that you hit the limiter. 52.9, all right. Bunatix, hey mate, yeah, back is better, thank you so much for asking. As usual guys, go and check Bunatix YouTube channel and subscribe, very nice channel. Limiter here. So what we want to do is find some traction. Possibly that will also permit us to go down to the traction control 1 with the Ginetta, which will help the car lose less time, sliding. Christian, absolutely yes. Just, you know, make a race, a couple of laps during the night, and you will see that the brakes becoming really red. Try it. Hey, Andy Booth and Scooby Power, welcome guys. You see, you just keep your foot down and anticipate the car with the steering wheel. And if you do it properly, the Ginetta will just rotate and go to the direction that you want. But you really have to be active with the steering wheel. Hey Emma, all good, thank you. We do hit the limiter just before the braking zone, if you do it properly. So that is an indication that we probably have the wing way too low and we could use more wing. There's no need to hit the limiter in 6th gear. I mean, the 6th gear is short, you cannot change that. So why hit the limiter? Just use more wing and have more downforce for the turns. Ciao Diego. Nice, that was finally a decent turn here. Nice also. Hey Sam, can I clear a doubt about the preload? No, it affects all stages, Power and acceleration, of course, as well as costing. Ooh, lap time. Now this is something that you need to really put and take care in your mind. The car is very narrow. Okay, let's finish this lap here, and I want to show you. Okay, so we lap at around 52 highs right now, possibly some 52 mids if that lap was good. But I want to show you this actually. So you see at my last lap I wasn't very careful, and I went a bit too much into the inside. Now, in comparison with a GT3 car, the Ginetta, even in comparison with some GT4 cars, the Ginetta is much narrow. It's much more narrower than the other cars. Which means, let me show you that if you do this in a GT3, you will probably stay with the tires here on the curb. But with the Ginetta, you are going with the center of the car way too much on the inside because it's so narrow. And that means that, you know, at the end, your lap time, your lap is going to be not valid simply because you went way over the curb. So with the Ginetta, you really have to be very careful, not use as much track. You see here, I'm already over. So don't use as much track as with the other cars. You have to stay a little bit inside the limits. Try to let at least the outside tires here on the asphalt, for example. This is a good indication that you're doing it right. If the tires are going on the curb as well, then you have, you know, you're going to have issues and might get a non-valid lap. So this is something to always remember with the Ginetta. Another thing I want to show you actually on the replay. Let's see if I can find some oversteering moments. Yeah, they're fila, absolutely, you're right. Καλησπέρα Wi-Fi. Hey ZT, thank you so much. Yeah, I'm sorry that my videos are so long. Honestly, I don't know how to express some of the stuff that I'm saying in a shorter, period of time. So I don't know what to do. Some people are putting my videos in 2x speed or 3x. They say the voice is still bearable and understandable, so maybe you can do that. And of course, you can check the too long did the watch, which is the smaller videos when I try to cut the live streams, the long live streams, into smaller pieces. Usually they are around 10 to 30 minutes, depending on the video. Hello, Wave. So let's see if we can find some oversteer. Actually, let me go inside. Okay, that's some oversteer here and some oversteer here. So here's what I want to show you. Let's go from the outside, okay, and check the car like this. So if you see this, it doesn't even looks like oversteer, you see? No oversteer at all. So why I'm showing you that, with the Ginetta, it's so short, okay, and so agile, that even slight oversteers will make the car lose a lot of time. Okay, you see, from the outside, it doesn't show any oversteer at all. Instead, at the same turn from the inside, you can see the steering wheel, how I'm working, right, to get it right. Same here. Look at this. So if we see this from the outside, practically nothing. So it's important with the Ginetta to be as proactive, as active on the steering wheel as possible. Keep the car in small drifts. Don't let it go too wild, not because you won't be able to handle it, but because you're going to lose so much momentum and time if you let it spin the wheels, right? Okay. Bilbo, oh yes, of course, I mean, I'm doing my best, but you're right. Definitely, sometimes I'm just not being the native language, actually the third language. It's obvious that it won't be easy. Yeah, universe, we can talk about that in a minute. So let's go back to the garage and do some changes. I'm gonna do some extra changes faster in order to help you guys, understand what we're doing. I think the pressures were okay. So the rear wing was at 1, so it's pretty low. Of course, we put it low to help the Ginetta, get some top speed. But we were hitting the limiter, so why keep it at 1? Let's try and go to 3. Okay, let's exaggerate and see if we're gaining time. I would like also to see... Yeah, I want much less brake bias, as we said. We will try with 57 and see if it improves. That's okay. I would like to get a little bit less wheel rate at the rear, maybe make it softer so that it doesn't jump around on the kerbs so much, and hopefully that will, let me have more traction from the car. Let's put some telemetry labs so that we can check the dampers afterwards. And okay, nothing else right now. Let's keep it as it is. Thank you, Bilbo. Thank you so much, mate. And have another go. Let's see if we can, consistently go down to what is it? 1 minute 52 mids. We're at 1 minute 52 highs. Oh, thank you, Luco. Luco just told me the pressures. It's 26.9, 27.1, 26.8, 27.1. They seem okay. Let's do some laps with this setup and then fix them. Ignition on, and let's go.
Low tire pressure, stay away from curbs.
Cold tires and everything. GT4 cars do not have blankets, so you need to stay careful in the first 2 laps, heat up the tires, and then push. Because if you are pushing right away from the first laps with the low pressures, you're gonna go over the curbs and outside the road, and you are going to lose pressure. And if you do that, obviously, that will mean that afterwards, your pressures that you will try to balance out will not be correct. You see, car already looks more stable under acceleration. Even on the cold tires, so that is good. Yeah. Hey, Otto. Looks also better on turn in if I don't overdo it. Yeah, look at that nice rotation over here. And that's on cold tires. Very good. Limiter. Don't overdo the kerbs yet. We will do that on the third lap, possibly. See, the pressures are still low. Maybe limiter here. No, not limiter this time. Okay, let's see at the end of the straight if we're gonna hit the limiter this time or not. So much more traction at the exit. You see, I don't have to work with the steering wheel as much. Now, again, we're not trying to do, you know, an extremely aggressive setup. We're just trying to do our setup for the race. We have 60 liters of fuel. We want to have a stable car for the race that permits us to push. No limiter this time. And much better at the braking, of course, because more drag and downforce. Look at that. That is traction. We are losing time, but gaining on the turns. Hey, Savage, welcome. Nice. There's so much traction that I could try to lower the traction control to 1. Ooh, I could have been so much faster in this turn. Yeah, that is definitely better. Car is more stable, works better everywhere. Let's cut a little bit more. I was actually afraid to push the accelerator, but the car was already stable and could have go to the accelerator much sooner. Hey, Gatto Pazzo, thanks for the follow. Alpha, as long as you have fun, my friend.
But I'm playing the fastest lap so far.
Looking good. Hey, Scott and Mark Oliver, thanks guys for the follow. I let the car slide a bit too much. Nice. Look at the gap going down. Oh, come on. Ah! I went too wide. That's a pity. There is lots of time to be found here. Hey, say Matteo, welcome. You see, though, how much more stable the car is. Now, obviously, this lap is not valid, but it was a much better lap. It's a 52 lows. Don't let it slide.
Yellow flag ahead. Be careful.
That's it. Don't let slide. You see, it doesn't... You cannot let the car slide. Even if the car wants to slide and it helps you to rotate, you still have to be vigilant and not let the car slide. Otherwise, you're gonna lose time. Yeah, we lost some time at the exit over there. Too much slide at the exit, and you can see that I'm losing now on the acceleration. Nice. Getting better.
Well done, mate.
52.1. The setups are for Poricara tweak for straight line speed for the race. Don't let the car slide. You see, you have to be fast. You can see that I'm pushing harder, and although the car is more stable, you still have to work hard to make the car work for you and gain lap time. Now we're getting also consistent. Better here. Yeah, you have to work so hard with this car. So much work. All right, we're going to 51.9. That's pretty cool. Let's stop the car here, check pressures and everything. Okay, return to the garage. You can have a look at the replay also. All right, so, sorry. Now this, so Otto says, is the car harder than the Cup? It's not really harder. The car is easy to push around, but it takes. It's not like it's going to bite you and spun. You know, if you do something like that with the Porsche cap, if you're not very careful, it's going to spun out and you're gonna have issues, no? The Ginetta doesn't. The Ginetta it will just go into a slide, and you go into a drift, and then you will, release your foot from the accelerator, do some stuff with the steering wheel, and you will regain control. So it's a good, a benevolent car when it lets go. Okay, while the Porsche cap, when it lets go, it's not so benevolent. The problem is that while with the Porsche cap, you need to be smoother a little bit, at least smoother than this. With the Ginetta, you really have to, as you can see, at least I really have to work a lot with the steering wheel to be able to keep my foot down and not lose time. If I don't work with the steering wheel, the car will not bite me, but it will lose a lot of time. It will waste time sliding around. So you really have to keep it just at the point of optimum sliding. So the pressures look pretty good. Let's go up 1 here and 2 here to balance it out a little bit. Okay, let's go and see and check the Motec actually, and see how our dampers are doing. Let me see if I can find it out. Oh, that's nice. Let me show you. Where is it? Desktop, webcam. So these are our damper histograms right now. If you haven't watched, go and watch my video about dampers. I will link it somewhere here or somewhere anyway. But yeah, there is, if you just search on my channel for damper and telemetry, you will find how to read those histograms. The histogram looks pretty good, a little bit on the bump side from the rear. So maybe we can, work a little bit this and see if we improve or not. Yeah, so that's it. So let's go back, play a little bit with the damping. Let's go to the dampers, and we want this one to go up. Let's do it by 2, like this. The front end looks nice, so it doesn't seem that it needed anything extra. Maybe a little bit extra bump also at the front. So let's go up to 7. There is something, I think. Yeah, here it is. So here are the temperature readings for the front, and it says 67, 70, 72, 75, 72, 69. They are a little bit low. Okay, so they are a little bit low. I would like to bring those up by 10 degrees, 5 degrees. So how can I do that? Well, the easiest way to do this is going into the aero and simply close the brake ducts. So if we close the brake ducts to 3 and 2, we should get the pressures higher, okay? Now, if we get the pressures high, we should get the temperatures higher. Obviously, higher temperature means higher pressure automatically, because pressure and temperature are 1 to 1, and they go up and down together. So at some point we will have to check our pressures here. The temperatures will go up. We will need to lower the pressure. So let's go down by 2 everywhere, and hope for the sorry again today. And hope for the better. And obviously we're going to do some laps, get back, check temperatures and pressures, and see if we have improved or not. All right? Wi-Fi, yes, you need, depending on the car also, you need to find a compromise with the rear wing at Porsche car. For example, if you have a Mercedes or a Bentley, those cars arrive at a top max speed, and then the engine loses all the power on the revs that they stay. So it doesn't pay really much to stay on a lower wing. Raise the wing, you will lose maybe 1 or 2 kilometers on the straight. It's already low, but you will gain much more speed in the turns. And Porsche car is a very technical track, except that very long straight. All the rest of the track needs high downforce. So find the compromise. Okay, let's go back. We are already, almost half an hour into the live stream. Things are getting good, I think. Let's have a look also on the replay of at least of our last lap, so that we can see how we've been doing. Let's go from the outside. Always have a look on your replay. Let's see what we did here. You see, very, very wide on the curb almost. Braking very good. Let's go a little bit slower. Into the turn. You see, releasing the brakes in order also because the Ginetta is a low car. All GT4 cars are pretty high on ride height, so you can go over the curbs without any issues at all. But the Ginetta is a low car. And as such, you have to make sure that when you're going over the curbs, you don't want to be on the brakes so that your front end, hits the sausages and the high curbs and the car jumps into the air. So make sure just before going over the curb, release the brakes, you will gain momentum, that is very important on this car, and you will be able to go over the curbs without hitting, because obviously releasing the brakes will take the nose back up and you should be fine. Again, nice here. Very good, no slippage here, no slides, nothing at all. You have to be very smooth here. Let's go faster. Now that's a difficult turn. You see, going already on the turn, you really have, with the Ginetta, you have to brake as late as possible. There's nothing else that you can do. But because you're braking as late as possible, don't fall into the trap and keep on braking through the apex because you think that you're going to understeer. Brake as late as possible and then gradually release the brakes. We can see that here already, the HUD. You can see the brake pedal is already not even 50%. I'm already releasing the brakes. And that helps me going, into the turn. So release the brakes over the curb. Release the brakes again, look at that. Hop, before the curb. Small rotation, you see how the car rotates, and full throttle to the exit. Hello, Mauricio. Hello, Pazzo, welcome. Late braking again, and releasing the brakes. Look at this, releasing the brakes. Completely off the brakes, on the accelerator. A little bit of slide here, I could do better, possibly. Very good. Okay, let's stop here and have a look at the chat. Ram70 says, a spokesperson of the new Forza Horizon game. Talk about how the new one is going to have multiple contact points on the tire that refers in X numbers of time. How does that compare to ACC? Well, first of all, we are comparing apple to oranges. We are doing a hardcore simulator. Forza Horizon is a wonderful game, and it's a wonderful game. You can say whatever you want for marketing in terms of physics, but even if it has an amazing physics setting, certainly it runs values that permits you to go sideways at 300 kilometers per hour and brake from 300 to 0 in, 20 meters probably, to help players have fun, which is fine. I'm not critiquing that, I'm not arguing about that. But you cannot really compare ACC to something like Forza. It's honestly like, comparing. Honestly, I don't know what to tell you. And then again, honestly, come on, guys. Other question. Somebody already asked Aris if he has Neil's video about iRacing ACC aero maps. I haven't seen it. I've seen people talking about it and they talk about me. We have a small discussion in the science channel on the Discord server. I think it was probably, I haven't seen it, so I cannot judge it. It seems to me a little bit clickbaitish because from what I've been told, he's been taking measurements of things that doesn't really tell the story about it. And we have already talked openly about that the front aero variation in ACC is an indication to show you how to set up the car, not an actual absolute value of what the aero does. So usually Niels never does clickbait titles, although recently I've seen him a little bit more active in that terms. Good for him, I guess. So yeah, it is what it is. Squizzo. Absolutely yes. Squizzo, that is a new one. All right. So, okay, to of course give a reply to Ram, which is making a very honest question, tries to understand. So Ram, Assetto Corsa Commissione has 5 contact points on the tire model for each tire. There are 5 contact points. They are refreshed 333 times per second. But again, this is a number for bar talking, for chatting between friends and saying, mine is bigger than yours, stuff like that. It doesn't really matter. What it matters is in those 333 times, how many variables and how complex the whole simulation system is underneath, and how many things you are controlling, how reliable and verified your data is. Our tire model flexes in all 3 dimensions. It has a very, very advanced heat model. It actually simulates the depth of the water film on the surface of the asphalt, and how this water film gets dissipated by the tire, depending if it's threaded or slick. Extremely heat. It simulates graining based on heat and scrubbing. It simulates blistering based on heat. Simulates flat spots. It simulates losing pressure going on the kerbs, which is an industry first, I think. It simulates so many things. So it doesn't only matters how many times you refresh your physics engine, because you could have, for example, a game that refreshes, I don't know, for 1,000 hertz, so 1,000 times the second. But the problem is, how many things are you simulating? Because if you're simulating a couple of things and you're refreshing 1,000 times a second, it's not the big deal as simulating a whole bunch of different things, which are also scientifically verified and based on real data. But you are obviously, because of all of this amount of things, you have to refresh slower the physics engine. But yeah, to make you understand, it's 333 hertz, and we have 5 points. Contact paths, so where the contact is and where the collision starts, and then after that the whole thing flexes, moves around, changes. It's pretty complex. I have made some videos about the tire model, so maybe you wanna have a look on the channel and research them and have a go. Obviously, very advanced aero simulation, very advanced electronic simulation, advanced suspension, dampers with graphs, which, as far as I know, it's again another industry first, and so on and so on. Hey, Sardano, ciao! Γεια σου από τον Πειραιά. Παλικάρι από τον Πειραιά, μπράβο. And so on and so on. Okay, let's move. Let's go on. We don't have much time. Again, nicely done. Less, you see, no brake at all. Slight rotation of the car. You can see how it rotates. No worries, Ram. Sorry again for being, yeah, we had some fun. Probably, push it too much. You made an honest question, so sorry about that. That's very nice. I could have go a little bit closer in there, so let's see this again. You can see that I'm staying, I've lost the apex here. If I go to the apex better, just before the sausages here, that would be better for my speed. Again, completely lost it here. Look at that. So lost it here once. I'm far away from the apex. I should have been over that curb. And completely lost the apex. I was fast. I gained time, but I completely lost the apex. If I could be much closer here, my mid-turn speed would be higher, and that would mean that for the whole, uphill, it would be much better, and I will gain time. Hello, Frederick. Welcome to the channel. Okay, let's move ahead. Almost on the limiter here, that's good. Good cut. And also good cut here, right on the limit. A little bit to slide, you see I've lost, if you saw, there were some tire marks here, which means I was sliding a little bit too much. You see? Oh, come on, Aris. Sorry. Okay, you see these tire marks here. This means that my tires are sliding a little bit too much. And the more you slide, the more power you dissipate. Instead of using the maximum grip to move forward, it means that you slide the tires a little bit too much, and that dissipates power, and you do not accelerate as good as you can. So that's a little bit detail here. Let's move on. Pingur, you are right on the limit with the RAM. The video card is also very low. If you lower a lot the details, it should run. That's good, on the limit. Nice rotation and exit. So there are a couple of things that we can improve on the lap. Again, we are just on our first hour of practice here. So we are already in a good position, but this is what you should also try to do. So if you had just 1 hour to practice, make it count, right? So be careful on what you're doing. Do not go just and drive. You can do that, but do not go just and drive. Be careful and try to understand how you can improve your laps, at least starting your practice session. All right, so let's do some extra laps.
Low tire pressure, stay clear of the curves.
Haha. Guys, I'm not answering future plans. If you need to know about future plans of ACC, you need to follow the official channels, website, Facebook account of Assetto Corsa, Twitter account, and so on. This is where we announce official plans. So it's not my job to tell you what and if anything comes in the future. And if you don't have any announcements yet, it's usually because there are many things to take care of, contracts, license, all that stuff. First, you need to make your licensors happy and the contracts valid, and then you can talk about future plans. Yep, cold tires. See how the car just went straight there. We have another driver in the server. Tires are still cold. No too much sliding. Hey Yasin, have fun, mate. Physical tire model, it's not something that we really want to follow right now, because at least for our knowledge, it takes too much time to deal with, and it's very difficult to tweak And so we prefer to have almost a hybrid and be able to tweak it at will, add new features. It's much easier for us to add features to our present tire model and improve it, and be able to tweak with new values every time and get better and better gradually, evolving. From what we know and what we see from our testing, physical tire model, while it has some valid points, it doesn't resolve everything. And most importantly, it takes a lot of time to tweak, and it's very difficult to add new features, which means that it doesn't work for us, at least. Salt pepper, we get telemetries from the real cars, and the data, of course, from Pirelli and so on. And we try to see if our model can come close enough to reality. Spamorama is here. But guys, you have all made Nitro boost on the server, so nobody's on the spam roll anymore. Ooh, too fast inside there. Oh, you see, I mean, the car slides, but it doesn't really want to kill you. You just have to work to keep it on the road, but it stays on the road. Ah, good job, John. Hey, Kenneth. Thank you so much for your kind words. I will reply to you in a minute. If I don't, remind me in a minute. Let me do some laps here and see if the car is better. And there are, because of two reasons practically. One is the kerbs, as Tim says. The other reason is that your tires are getting used, and I will tell you what's happening when they get used. So when you use your tires and they are consumed and they wear out, the tire depth, the surface of the tire becomes smaller, because obviously you are consuming the tire surface. And smaller tire means less material to heat up, okay? Less material to heat up means less heat generation. Less heat generation means lower pressure. So as you go ahead with the race and you consume your tires, you get a little bit less pressure. So it pays to start the race with a tiny bit overinflated tires, not too much, maybe 0.03 psi. And at the end of the stint, you're gonna have perfect pressures, or just a tiny bit lower. Yeah, so as Cemetery said, exactly that. Ciao, Lunatics. Lunatics Italian YouTube channel, make sure to subscribe. Hello, new friend. Unfortunately, I cannot read your username, your characters. Right, so the car feels good. I'm not driving very well because I'm reading. But so let's try and put the traction control at 1 and see if we can gain a little bit by this. So Salt Pepper say, do I ever look at what aliens do in game and find the bend rules of the game engine in ways you guys hadn't considered, or is that not possible? Absolutely, this is one of the things I do all the time. Because obviously games are now so dynamic, you can never know what exploits you can do. So I'm watching them and trying to understand. And this also helps me to find problems with our physics engine sometimes. Or simply things that we haven't considered, and we update this and our physics engine in order to, eliminate their exploits and make them drive more realistically, because that is what it's all about, right? So, for example, the graining issue that drivers have, it is a new feature that we implemented on the engine. To avoid what many top drivers do, which is the so-called Alonso technique. Practically, they make the car very oversteery. They arrive to the turn, right, like this, for example, and then turn a lot like this to stabilize the car. That is something that is happening also in reality. As a matter of fact, Alonso was doing it in Formula One. But obviously, it takes, a tire that can sustain this. You can do it for a couple of laps, and then, you cannot do it for the whole race, while the aliens were doing it for the whole race. And so we implemented the new scrubbing feature to simulate how the tire gets destroyed and becomes grainy if you keep doing it for a full race stint. And so we limited the amount of Alonso technique that the aliens were using in Assetto Corsa Competizione before that update. Udit, we just talked about that. It's your steering input. It's way too much, mate. You are steering way too much. Look at how small steering inputs I'm giving to the car. Cannot drive right now. Yeah, but I'm not driving really well now. It's a pity because the car really reacts very well. Catamops, we did that update, I think it was the 1.6, so it's old news already, but it's always nice to talk about it, of course. Okay, let's try to do one decent lap at least. So many people in the chat right now. Hey Kenneth, welcome. Tires are a bit low on pressure. Maybe we overdid it. Okay, that looks better. Too much. I've saved it, but that wasn't really good. That's very nice here. Lots of traction, even in traction control 1, level 1. Hello Tyler, welcome, thank you mate. That was traction control 1 that permitted me to rotate the car. Nice. We're getting faster. Yeah. Too much rotation, but yeah, I've lost some time. That's a pity. That's a pity. Still better lap time, but I could have done much better. Okay. Okay, 51.8. It could have been easily a 51.6. I've lost it all on the last turn. Let's go to the garage. But it does look that the setup works better right now. So, okay, so you can see that the readings here, the temperature went up at the rear. Sorry, not so high at the front, so maybe we can go to the aero and go 2 at the brake ducts at the front. That will help us even more. The pressure was a little bit low, maybe we can raise that by 1 at the rear. I will not raise it at the front because we will generate even more heat. So we are getting better. Let me also check the telemetry and see if we have improved on the dampers. Actually, I have to switch the desktop so that you can see. Okay, open. Oops. Data, we need a valid lap here. This is the one. Yeah, it's okay. The front is almost perfect. Obviously, those kind of histograms will be very different depending also what you're doing with the kerbs and everything, you know. But it seems to be working quite well. I will make the rear rebound a little bit lower in order to rise this part of the graph here. But it seems to be working pretty well. So go back to the setup. And dampers, so I want this down by 1. I could use a little bit more bump. Like this. And see what happens. Okay. Would it try to release the brake pedal? Actually, we have a little bit of time. I think we are going fast. So let's make a summary and see what we have done until now. 1 hour of practice. Let's see what we've done and what we have improved. Let's save the setup so that you guys can then take it. I will upload it right away. So here we are at Imola, Ginetta, ambient 25, okay, track 32, and let's call this 001, not race, not qualifying, nothing. It's just our first initial setup. All right. We could go down to 1 here. I will leave it 2, but you could go down to 1. Okay, I will leave it on 2. Let's see also what we're doing with the tires. 292 to 89. We are consuming a little bit too much the rear tires for comfort. So that might be something to keep in mind. Maybe we can put a little bit less toe at the rear, like this, and a little bit less camber. And see if the car maintains its stability. We can use more toe at the front to consume more. Again, remember the last live stream about how to balance tire wear. Yes, Gatto Pazzo, exactly because of that. Does the downforce distribution, generally they try to keep it on the center of gravity of the car and a little bit more rearwards to have better traction and more stability. So especially for mid-engine cars that have a lot of weight at the rear, it is pretty much on the center of gravity maybe 1-2% at the front, sometimes depending on the track. For front engine cars that have 50-50 weight balance, they will keep it a little bit more rearwards to aid with stability and especially to aid with traction, because obviously the front engine cars have less traction. But we are not talking big amounts. We're talking, 5%, 10% at max difference for the front engine cars. On the rear engine cars, it's not much difference from the center of gravity. It's around 5% back and forth, depending on where you're going. All right, so we did that. Okay, so actually, let me do a couple of laps. Do I have time? I have 20 minutes. Let's do 10 minutes laps with this setup, just to make sure that it is drivable and nice. And then I want to show you a little bit about trail braking and see how you can try different things, actually. Try different things.
Stay away from curbs.
Rifta. It is a car that you have to work with the steering wheel quite a bit. Yay. It doesn't seem to be much more oversteery with the differences we made at the rear, so I kind of like it, and that will possibly help us also with tire wear. Oh, which, by the way, we are using. Oh, come on! We started with a used tire set. Yeah, it was used already. So we need a fresh tire set. I mean, we are lucky that I saw that at the end of the lap and not after 5 laps.
Low tire pressure. Stay away from curbs.
Well, Alien Pace, so Udit says, for information, can we do Alien Pace for an hour, 1 hour race and still not have front graining? Alien Pace is because they are good driving. They're just good at driving, and they can do this whatever we do. So it's not a problem of graining. The problem is that if they use the Alonso technique, even the aliens will get a lot of graining, tons of graining. So some aliens that were, basing their performance on the Alonso technique, they will not be able to do that for a full 1 hour race. But that doesn't mean that you cannot keep extremely good performance and not having graining if you are driving properly. This is what we're trying always to do, to make the physics in a way that if you're driving properly and realistically, you're going to be fast, right? If you are trying to exploit the system, as long as we find out, we will try to understand why this is happening and simulate better. Because keep in mind, that's not a problem of the aliens. It's a problem that something in our physics engine permits exploiting the physics. So we have to fix that. Okay, let's go back to traction control 1. Sorok, welcome to the channel. Oh, I was watching a different thing. All right, okay. I'm starting to be tired. But the car behaves good even with those changes. Let's do a couple of laps and see. Well, yeah, I mean, nowadays, Dart says, thanks for fixing, whoops, thanks for fixing exploits, although I never found any. The exploits that there are nowadays on good simulators are not, you know, exaggerated. But there are always little tiny things. For example, in Assetto Corsa 1, this is something that we fixed in Assetto Corsa Competizione. You can use high camber, negative camber, and negative toe, and have lots of negative toe, and have less rolling resistance, because the equation was not correct, and it would understand that you were correcting the slip angle from the high camber, negative camber, by using less toe. Now, obviously, this is not the case in reality. More toe means more rolling resistance. Unfortunately, we didn't have the time, because we found out about that in Assetto Corsa 1 once the development was already done. But obviously, this is no longer the case in Assetto Corsa Competizione, because it's fixed, and yeah, that is how it works practically. Hey, thank you, Scott. So nice of you. Hello, Zippin. Thanks for the follow. Okay, pressures are a little bit low now because I've been jumping on the kerbs all around. Let's see the car. Hello, Zan. How you doing, mate? Car is very nice. Hello, Belly. Thank you so much, mate. Really appreciate it. You guys are far too good. Bad driving here, that's all my fault. But the car still behaves nicely. Yeah, it's all my fault here. Car behaves nicely. Okay, so what we're going to do now, since I don't have the focus to push more, okay? I want to show you a couple of things of how you can try different techniques in trail braking. Just, you know, 10 minutes talking about that, and then we'll call it a day because I don't have much time. I have to still go and have dinner. Hello, 8 cylinders. So, trail braking. People are asking me, how do I try different techniques of trail braking? How do I know that I'm doing it right? Well, first things, is to be extremely precise. You have to know your braking reference points, okay? The braking reference point should not change, should always be the same, okay? So, braking reference point at the 50, brake, okay. Now, what I'm going to show you is, once you have started braking at the reference point, here, this is where you can see you brake normally, you turn into the turn, and you have some understeer, for example. Okay. Try and experiment with the brake pedal. So the moment that you feel the understeer and you're going like this, okay, instead of turning more and braking more, which is something that pretty much everybody does initially, okay, turn less or keep the steering wheel, input limited, and release the brakes. Completely release the brakes. Sorry, I've been watching the chat. Hehe, Dorifto. So, do this kind of tests practically. Just test and see what happens. So let me show you down at the Rivazza what we're going to do. We're going to brake right at the reference point. Okay. Like this, brake, 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 full braking. You see, car didn't really, and I'm too slow, you see. So I kept on the brakes, turning the steering wheel, lost my apex, and I was too slow. Let me show you this in the replay, because it's important. So let me show you the replay. So right on the last lap, okay, over here, HUD here. I want you to check what I'm doing with the steering wheel and with the brake here. So as you can see, I'm starting braking at my reference point, hard on the brakes, okay, very hard on the brakes, full 100% braking still while I'm turning in. So I'm braking 100% while I'm turning in, okay. And yes, the ABS will save me a little bit, and the car will start turning in, but you can see that no matter how much steering input I give and how much I keep on braking, okay, I'm not exactly arriving at the apex. Look at this. I'm not exactly at the apex. Yes, I'm going to touch the curb, but I'm not at the apex. I'm not inside the curb. And I gave tons of braking. I gave tons of steering wheel, and up 84 kilometers per hour, right? Now, let's go back to one of the many laps here. I don't know, this one maybe. Okay. Towards the end. Yeah. Okay. Let's go down. This is just one of the many laps. Okay. So, braking again at my reference point, as usual. Let's go down. So, 100% braking, as long as I'm in a straight line. Okay. Braking, braking, braking. Now, you will see that I'm turning in. So, steering wheel turns in. Braking is, I don't know if you can see it, braking is already less than 100%. So, the moment I turn in, I have to modulate my braking. This is something that you really have to try. Now, some of you people are saying, well, I have G29s, whatever, they are not so sensible, or my pedals are not so good anymore, so I have issues of modulating. Try to do something, but for sure do not stay 100% on the braking. So let's go really slow now. Look at this. As I am keep turning, and you can see how little steering input I'm giving. Much less than before. Before I was like this. Now I am like, I don't know, what is that? Not even 30 degrees, 20 degrees. And the braking force at the pedal, you can see it here, is less than half already. You see? And I'm still away from the apex. Let's keep on going. Just a little bit of braking, extra. And then here, I'm releasing the brakes completely. And I'm giving the last, extra turning, right, to put the car inside and keep it there, okay, because otherwise, obviously, I'm having way too much speed right now. But I try to not overdo it. So look at this. Some extra over the curb. That's all I need. And then release the steering wheel again. And you can see that I was at 95 kilometers, from almost 10 kilometers more on the apex, right? And I was still able to catch the apex much better. You can see that even on the next turn, even better. So let's go forward. And that was not a very good turn, by the way. But even like that, I was faster. And here you can see braking again, 100%, releasing the brakes at turning. You see, this time I'm just touching the brakes and I managed to rotate the car, because all you need is just rotate the car. If you touch the brakes, you rotate the car. If you're heavy on the brakes, lots of weight at the front, lots of braking, lots of slippage. The front tires cannot do both things. They cannot brake and decelerate the car and turn. And so you start to having understeer. Little bit of load and less need for the front tires to decelerate means more lateral grip, so the car will rotate. So try those things. Try them in every single turn, okay? The number one thing that you have to do, always brake at the correct reference point, okay? And while you are braking at the correct reference point, it is important. Why? Because while you will be trying, you will arrive at a situation where at some point it will click on you and you will understand that, wait a minute, I started braking at my reference point, I entered the turn even faster because I released the brakes, and the car turned so much that actually I went to the inside of the turn, or I didn't even make it to the outside of the turn at the exit. It was so much more lateral grip that the car didn't slide away, it just remained at the internal part of the turn. If that happens to you, that means that at the next lap, you should do the same thing, but start braking 2 meters later. This is how aliens manage to brake so late and yet manage to do the turn, while, for example, if you have problems, you brake even earlier, but you still cannot make the turn. The tires cannot do two things together. They cannot slow down the car and ask for lateral grip. They cannot do it together. So you have to give up one thing to get the other thing, right? So if you need to turn into the turn, you have to release the brakes. Otherwise, you won't have lateral grip. So again, brake at the reference point, turn in, release the brakes completely. If you see that you have tons of lateral grip and you can make easily the turn, next time brake 1-2 meters later and do the same. This is how you gain speed. That's where the speed is gained under braking. Okay, that's the whole thing about trail braking. Now, obviously, if your pedals are not as sensible, at some point you just have to release the brakes and go coasting into the turn. If your brake pedals are sensible enough, then just touch the brakes and rotate the car with 2, 5, 10% of braking force. Not much more than that. So this is about trail braking, but it is something that you need to try. If every time you just make the braking later and later, it doesn't work like that. You need to first try the technique and see that, oh my God, I have lateral grip now if I release the brakes, and then on the next lap, brake later. Don't try to brake later and do the technique together. Keep braking at your usual reference point and use the technique to see where do you stand inside the turn. If your car, after you have released your brakes, rotates way too much and you spin, that's also an indication that you have so much lateral grip and you are asking all that lateral grip and the car can give it to you. And before that you weren't spinning just because you were using too much braking and the car was understeering straight out of the turn. So if you gain that, this is an indication that you can go back with your setup and make a more neutral setup, but release the brakes and have even more lateral grip than before. All right? Okay, so this is it. I hope you guys had fun today. I hope you enjoyed that 1 hour and a half of after work happy hour. As I said again, this is the track where my Discord community will race tomorrow and on Sunday. So I will post right now the setup and the telemetry on my shared folders search on the Discord channel and on the description of all the videos, and you will find the links. So you can get the setup, you can get the telemetry, have a look, have fun, and get ready for the Sunday 1-hour race at Imola with the GT4 cars. Right? So thank you so much for joining, and see you on Friday on the long live stream as always. Take care. Bye.